Hey everybody, I'm getting some good questions about the first lecture, The Age of Conquest and Expansion. So I wanted to make sure people understood the point of the lecture and the differences between the learning objectives. So in learning objective 1, what's basically going on is explaining how the Europeans got in a position to be the conquerors and dominate world affairs, right? And so one thing I'm seeing is students aren't paying attention to the actual years, right? So the age of expansion and conquest is taking place between 1450 and 1650. And what that means is that time period when Europe was in a position to begin colonizing, exploring, and taking over much of the Americas, and then later other parts of the world. Those years established when that happened. Now, the learning objective 1 is basically explaining how it got to that point. So I'm hearing students are asking me questions like, so were the Crusaders part of the conquerors? In a sense, yes, they were, but it's not dealing with Europeans becoming a dominant force in the world. The point of talking about the Crusades within this lecture is to explain how it destabilized the medieval period, the Dark Ages, and ushered in a new time era when Europeans were in a position to conquer most of the Americas and colonize it. One and the same. So again, the Crusades are very important to understand because basically they went over to what we call now the Middle East, which was basically the hub of civilization. Those people that went there fought the infidels, what they would refer to, the Muslims. And in doing so, the unintended consequence was that they established trade relations and brought those trade items and even the concept of commerce, that is trading goods for money, whatever the currency happens to be, back into European society, which was pretty much lost after the fall of the Roman Empire. What's going to happen is that European countries are going to want to keep are going to get a taste for trade, and over the course of several hundred years, that's really important to understand. This is a very slow process. They're going to see that it is cheaper for them to go down maybe south to Africa to see if they can cut across, to cut out a lot of the middlemen that are talked about in learning objective 1, like the Italian sea merchants. That is also going to prove problematic. We're not getting into why that's problematic, but what happens is that you have a guy named Christopher Columbus, and this is why he's significant, not for a lot of the other reasons why people say he's significant, is he went west. And what he thought is that the world was a lot shorter, smaller than it was. He didn't know about the continents in the middle. People knew how big the world was, more or less. All right, but he went west, ran into the Americas. Not much came out of his expeditions, but it did get other people interested in going over there. This is going to initiate the age of conquest and expansion. So when you're looking for examples for sea captains, conquerors, and explorers, really don't just focus on one of those links down here. Let me bring it on up. So this basically, the first part of this is asking you to define the three-step process. Basically define geographical expansion, what's out there. Political expansion, this is beginning to take over land. This is the conquering phase. And then commercial expansion. Now, commercial expansion simply isn't enslaving Indians and taking them. It's actually creating the trade network between the Americas, Europe, and Africa. So be sure you understand that part. So if you're just reading one article, you're probably not going to be able to answer it completely. You'll get some credit for it. But if you're one of those students that are seeking A's, and you should be one of those students, you want to go through all four of these links pretty thoroughly to come up with some good examples, especially that commercial expansion. Again, it's not just the fact of exploiting people and enslaving them. It's setting up the trade network that becomes the hub of what is known as mercantilism. Mercantilism is the economy of empire. That is, empires like Great Britain extracting resources from its colonies and transforming those resources into a finished product, right? That's mercantilism. So, for example, tobacco is grown in Virginia. It's brought over to England. It's transformed into, it's processed into a product that can be easily smoked, right? So understand what that is. You will get examples if you read through these 4 links here. So please read thoroughly for all 3 of those examples, and don't be shy. You can offer more than 1 example, right? So offering 1 example, that's kind of minimal. If you offer a couple examples, I'm very interested in what you're writing. If you offer more than a couple of examples, that's awesome, right? So go forth and be great. Always strive for the best. You guys can do it. Please let me know if you have any questions or concerns. I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye.